but so real. Yeah, give me change that you can feel. Yeah, a dream we can't believe. Yeah, welcome to Knowville. Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Rome back with Knowville podcast. I'm speaking with Monique, and I'm very excited about this conversation today. Monique is someone that deals in something that I find extremely interesting. She's with Learn, Play, Sign, and they do signing. And Monique, if you would not mind, could you just tell our Knowville audience a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, hello, my name is Monique. I am the founder and owner of Learn, Play, Sign, LLC. I am a Black Sign Language interpreter. I have been interpreting professionally now for, in May, it'll be 7 years, but I have been learning the language pretty much since I was a kid. I started out my mom, she actually went over to UT and she was taking some sign language classes as a foreign language. And she was just teaching me just how to figure spell and just little baby signs as a kid. And I kind of just became fascinated in it. And then as years went on, I went through college and kind of fell into some majors that weren't necessarily the right fit for me. And so I kind of went into education, early childhood education, and took my first sign language class. And then I fell in love with it. But I refound sign language at actually church, Overcoming Believers Church here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Took a trip up to Indianapolis, Indiana, and Pastor Arnold actually preached preached with, I should say, I think it was Johnny McKirkland, and we were able to sing backup or whatever. But it was interesting because I really wasn't even really that, intrigued with Johnny McKirkland. I was more interested in seeing these Black interpreters that I had actually never seen before and seeing them being active in church and be able to see deaf people actually responding. I thought that was just really cool. So I kind of just talked to my pastor about it. I was in school and kind of trying to figure out life as a young adult and flunking, to be honest, and trying to figure out where I wanted to be in life because I knew I was educated, but I just wanted to kind of figure out which route I needed to take. And if it wasn't for Pastor Arnold saying, just take one class and see how you do, see what you do, don't give up on college. And I did, and I got an A and then continued to take classes, and I've really been on honors since then. But yes, so that's a little bit. I'm a professional interpreter now. I work full-time and I'm currently a student over at UT, University of Tennessee in Knoxville, studying ASL studies there, American Sign Language Studies. And I'm a professional interpreter, but I'm actually wanting to be able to teach on the post-secondary college level. So I'm working towards my master's degree and beyond education after I retrieved that. But that's kind of a bit of a starter. I don't know if you want to know about Learn, Play, Sign, but how that was developed, if that was the question or not.
Well, it's all encompassing. I will say, and I apologize, I had a little bit of issue on my side, and so you might have mentioned this when I was trying to get the sound level right.
Okay.
So right now you're going to UT to further your education in this field, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, and where did you say you first started taking the courses for this?
I first started at Pellissippi taking ASL classes.
Okay.
And then from there, I actually graduated with early childhood education from Pellissippi, but then I didn't want to teach. So I decided I want to go back to school, and I transferred over to Georgia State University. And from there, they actually have like a +2 program where you can get your associates or your bachelor's. And I went for the associates in sign language interpreting. And then from there, I just kind of worked for several years and developed my skill. And there's a certificate. It's not really, I guess you could say certification, but it's a skills performance test for educational based interpreting. And I've taken that and scored, satisfying scores to be able to work in the school system and whatnot. But I just decided I wanted to go back to school. And I was over at Georgia State, but I was in my senior year. I was there last semester in the fall. And they just kind of weren't showing me much love over there as far as the scholarships and really advocating for the students. And, only had 2 semesters left, but they weren't really supporting me. So that's why I decided to transfer over to UTK. And since then, they have actually a phenomenal program for interpreting and sign language in general, master's, doctorate, bachelor's. So it's really good.
Got you. And once again, if you had already went over that, I do apologize.
Oh, no.
I'm glad you reiterated it, because a lot of people might hear you talking about what you do and, be intrigued and want to know how they can sort of follow that path as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started out at LLC. I actually didn't mention where I went to school, but that's a great question because it's hard to find schools with sign language. But luckily here in Knoxville, there's the Institute for the Deaf in South Knoxville, and there's also LLC who provides the ASL program, and UT who has it. And I've heard possibly a Christian school is now offering ASL classes, so it's definitely becoming more popular, and it should continue to be in the school system because it is a language, it is a foreign language, and it's benefited me because, since I've learned sign language, I'm able to understand English a whole lot better and just the concepts behind English. So,
and people probably don't think about that. It's called ASL. I'm assuming is that like American Sign Language? And if so, does that mean to speak to someone internationally, you would need to learn like a different type of signing?
yes. So there's American Sign Languages, which is what I know, but there is also, different types of sign language within, like there's like, South African Sign Language. There's like, trying to think of another, like BSL, which is like a British Sign Language. And then, the one I've been advocating for here recently, which is the Black Sign Language, is starting to become more popular and people are recognizing more, but that is actually a language as well. And then, just pretty much wherever you travel to, like even in like the Spanish communities, there's sign language. And then within, because there's different forms of speaking Spanish. So like even with there's, different types of sign language within that. So.
I'm glad you mentioned the different variations, because that's something people don't really think about. The more people become comfortable with a certain type of communication, the more they're going to sort of adapt it and change it to make it more their own. And you were saying that the African American Sign Language is something that you've been advocating for. What would be the difference between that and, say, American Sign Language? And is the African American Sign Language something that is respected as far as scholastically?
Okay, so it's actually referred to just as Black Sign Language, just BSL,
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, BASL, Black Sign Language, or Black ASL, I should say, excuse me, Black American Sign Language is what the actual acronyms are for, BASL, Black American Sign Language. But it actually started back in the day, when there was slavery, segregation, things like that. Deaf people also went through that same type of experience where pretty much there was the white deaf school and there's a black deaf school. And at the white deaf school, they had the whole history behind deaf culture and history is the whole thing, because they've all, the whole thing is that they've all been experiencing when it comes to like oppression and things like that. But to focus on the Black, there was worse when it comes to oppression because they weren't able to have, the same type of materials and things like that and were considered as less than. So when it came to sign language, they weren't allowed to, learn, the same type of sign language and things like that, or even learn, ASL during that time. So they, in their dorm rooms, whenever they, were finished with school, because they were, pretty much said that they couldn't even use their hands to be able to even communicate. They wanted them to be able to hear, even though they couldn't, and be able to learn orally and speak and things like that. But in the dorm rooms, on their downtime, they were able to communicate using Black Sign Language, and it developed and became a thing. And if it is recognized, there are books and things like that, scholarly articles, but it still needs to be more recognized because there's a lot of pushback behind it. And especially when it comes to the racism, people think that Black people are just making up things or just trying to create their own, but there actually is a true history behind it and a reason for it. So that's what I've been advocating for, is just to say that Black Sign Language is a language, and, really trying to find those deaf people who still use it, because there are some, but we're not finding them. I haven't personally found them yet. I've just seen them like on articles and things like that. So, and to be honest with you, I want to be able to find where the Black deaf community is here in Knoxville. I just know one person right now that I know I can contact, but other than that, I don't know any other Black deaf person here in Knoxville. And I know there is a community.
Okay. Well, first, I mean, that's fascinating when you talk about the history of it, because that's one of those things that is probably, there's such a deep history there that 9 times out of 10 people will just completely be unaware of, because it's so easy just to lose things to history, and especially if you put impediment on communication, you know, people just don't know stuff. So I'm glad you actually mentioned that. That's something I actually would like to look into as well. Do
If
you
you can,
feel like,
there's a book
go
actually
ahead, I'm
called
sorry.
the yeah, it's okay. I interrupted you, but there's a book that that's kind of been floating around social media and it's been out for a while, but it's called the Hidden Treasures of Black American Sign Language, BASL. And I purchased mine over at Gallaudet University, but I know they have it on Amazon and things like that. So it's just, if you just even just YouTube Black Sign Language, the Treasures of Black Sign Language, you'll be able to find videos on it, and it kind of explains a little more about it as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you think this is, um let me how do I want to ask this? So I know in schools, and you might be able to educate me on this, you know, you have to take a foreign language class, or at least you used to. I'm assuming they still do that in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you aware of, or have you ever heard of American Sign Language being able to be like a language elective in, say, like a high school? Because that's something I think that could
Yes,
really put someone on a track to, you know, find a
yes.
profession.
Here in Knoxville, not so much. They're just now kind of coming around about it. And I hope myself, honestly, I'm actually going to have a meeting on Tuesday to be able to get Learn Play Sign into the Knox County school system. But no, it definitely needs to happen here in Knoxville. But in California, I've worked there, and it is recognized as a foreign language there in California. And those students, like the younger the students are with learning sign language or really any language, the more proficient they are. And they are really good at a young age. And it's like, wow, like you guys can literally go get a job. Like you could be in college and also like do a little interpreting if you wanted to on the side.
Have you found it to be, the field itself, something that, you know, can be lucrative, or is it something where you'd probably have to have some sort of supplemental to support like a family or something of that nature?
No, the pay is pretty good. Starting out, of course, if you're like really new, especially like what I was just mentioning about the high schoolers, they would have to like probably find some type of like mentorship and things like that to actually really get going. But once you become, professionally certified and have all your P's and Q's and have all your, I should say, all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Once you have all your certifications and everything, yeah, it's pretty well paid. It is. You should be able to take care of your family and still be able to have a little. Let's
That's
see if you're a good
wonderful.
spender.
That's wonderful. So is one of the benefits that you get out of developing like this program, is helping kids sort of find their passion in signing, or like what made you be like, I want other people to be exposed to this, so let me create this program for it?
Well, Learn, Play, Sign came because I have my oldest son. I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. And my oldest, Josiah, he's actually autistic. But when he was younger as a baby, he was not speaking, babbling like he should. And thank goodness for those education classes that I took in early child development. I knew the stages from birth all the way up to, I believe, kindergarten, we learned. And I realized he wasn't necessarily thriving in certain areas when it came to speech and just things like that. So I started teaching him just sign language so that we can have some kind of communication. So his first language is sign language, by the way. But I just, during that time, I was, trying to figure out life. I was a new mother, just trying to really make my way as a mom with 2 young boys, a son who I really, I knew there was something wrong with him, but I won't say wrong, but I knew there was something going on with him, but I just wasn't sure what it was. And So I just, just decided I wanted to learn, play, sign, because you can still learn regardless. No matter how, whatever your mental capacity may be, you're still able to learn. And so I just really advocate for that, because with sign language, me and my son he speaks now. He's still a little speech delayed, but just being able to just communicate us together. And then I named it Learn, Play, Sign, just because with my son, he's able to learn, but we're having to learn through play, because, sometimes sitting still, especially at a young age, it's really hard. And if you add on, being autistic or ADHD or ADD, whatever it may be, the plus makes it a little bit harder. So that's why I wanted to have play, so that you're just coming to learn, but you're also playing through learning, or learning through play, I should say. And the signing is just, you learn to sign. So it's just a fun thing. So I like to incorporate music as well. And really, especially for the hearing students, I like to, especially if they're high school age, I let them pick out their own music and stuff. I tell them there's no cussing allowed though, but pick out their own music, and I like to crank it up and then literally have them, like, you can't hear anything that I'm saying. So now you have to use your second sense to be able to understand what I'm saying. And then, so just learning sign language that way. So it's pretty cool. I like it. I think it's a dope idea, and the students seem to love it. So, and they're able to learn. They don't even realize they're using like an auditory skill as well, because you're having to hear the music and understand, because most of the time when you're learning, you're still, vibing to your music. So you're hearing, so you're developing that skill to be able to hear while also, learning your sign language. So if you decide to become an interpreter, that skill's kind of already there a bit, just because you're learning to listen at a different level.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And I wish there would have been something like that around, when I was younger. Because, it's one of those things that is, even if it's a skill that you never know might be like very beneficial financially, health wise, it's just something that there's no downside to knowing it.
Anybody could go deaf. Anybody can be hard of hearing. Like my grandmother, she was, perfectly fine hearing. And then as she got older, now she has hearing aids and really can't hear at all, and this can happen to anybody. Like anybody could easily just become hard of hearing or deaf. So why not already have the skill, or just why not want to learn the skill so that you can communicate with somebody else and learn their stories and become friends with them? Because most of my friends are deaf, to be honest with you, or in the interpreting community or deaf community. So
hey, it makes sense. But no, that's the perfect mindset to have, because you never know. You definitely never know. Let me ask you this. This seems like something that you could definitely sort of get your message out, obviously visually. Have you started getting on like the social media platforms to sort of like get out there, the TikToks and things of that nature? Like how do you navigate stuff like that?
I do. I use Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. But I won't, there's always somebody who does it better or more than you, but I am out there and trying to get the word out, So I've had a couple shares in the past and some videos that go kind of semi-viral, but the consistency just isn't there. So that's what I'm working on now, and just building a consistent audience. So I'm happy to Learn, Play, Sign has finally, I won't say finally, but Learn, Play, Sign has now gained more than 100 followers. So that is something to be proud of. So we have more than 100 now and working on our way from there. And it's not, I decided I didn't want to pay, because you can pay for followers. I don't want to pay for followers. I want people who genuinely want to know and learn and be a part of the deaf community, and actually really, truly, genuinely care and want to make a difference, to actually like it, not people that I just pay for them to have the likes. They're not even active,
I can definitely appreciate that so much. Everything you said there is just so, I feel like you're talking directly to me, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
When you talk about the whole followers thing, like when you like, oh man, I'm past 100. Oh my God. But these are all like organic. It is sort of like okay, I'm sort of getting traction a little bit here.
Yep. Oh, yes.
And it is very tempting to go out and shell out the bucks just to get the blue check mark or whatever it is.
Right.
Because I've been, there's features on stuff, and I'm sure you've seen it on like Instagram, and I'll be like, okay, I'm on the Knowville Instagram, and I'm like, okay, I see this page did this. Like, where's my button to make that like that on my page? And it's like, oh, hey, buddy, you got to have 10,000 follows before you can do that. I'm like, why? Like, why?
Right.
But
It's like a whole bunch of people that you don't even know, and then the comments come, and I don't want any of that.
right.
I want genuine support.
Definitely. So yeah, we're gonna keep plugging away. Go ahead if you don't mind, and let us all know where we can follow you or where we can like, subscribe, and all that jazz.
Yes, for sure. So you can find Learn Play Sign if you just put hashtag Learn Play Sign as in one word, you will find me. Or you can just type in literally on Instagram at Learn Play Sign. I'm there, or on Facebook, Learn Play Sign LLC. But pretty much, yep, that's how you find me. This hashtag Learn Play Sign, even on Google, Learn Play Sign, I should pop up.
And I know with the pandemic and everything going on, you know, people aren't really trying to go places. I would think this is something that if you wanted to, you could do virtually, as far as like coming to you to try to learn, or like, how does that work?
Oh, yes. So I usually use Zoom platform for learning or just, working and things like that. But online is definitely, there's a lot of like, ways. You can even do it through Facebook if it comes down to if the person doesn't even have a Zoom account. But yes, using online sources.
So with the Learn Play Sign format, is there an age range? Is there like okay, they're probably aged out, or is it available pretty much to everyone?
Everyone, I have it broken down into groups. So I have the babies from like, I said about 4 months, but really you don't really see true involvement until they're able to really sit up and kind of move a little bit. But about 4 months to about 2 to 3 years. And then from there, the 3 to like 4-year-olds will be together. And it just depends on how big the class is as well, because sometimes you can even put like the 4-year-olds with the babies. It just depends, the class size. And then from there, like the school age, like the 5 to 7, and then 10 to middle school, and then the high schoolers, of course, still be together. And then college and adult age, they'll be in one. And then even there's a play on to Learn Play Sign, just so that people kind of know, but there's a sexy side to it. It's not all like children based, if you know what I'm saying. There's an 18 and up version of it too. I don't know if you've seen some of the podcasts that I've been kind of on with a company called House of Body, that they are a very sexy company. So we have the play of Learn, Play, and Sign, if you get what I'm saying. So
I think
for
I
the
get what you're
adults.
talking about.
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, let me just say I think what you're doing is fantastic. I really am fascinated by the fact that this is something that pretty much is like everyone can be involved in this. And at some point, like you were saying, anyone can have hearing loss, anyone can have hearing problems. I'm just sort of fascinated no one else has had this mind state or the thought to do this before yourself, because it seems like a no-brainer. Like, why would you not want to learn sign language? Why would you not put it in a format that's like excuse me, fun, music based? And it seems like it's almost tailor made to this time and space of like social media.
Yes. Yes. So I'm hoping it's definitely starting to catch more eyes. So I'm definitely preparing for the upping. I don't know what to say, but I'm just preparing for that the development.
Well, ma'am, I do once again appreciate your time. Is there anything you want to say to our people before I let you go tonight?
Yes, that deaf people are just regular old people, just like you and me. They can do any and everything. Just sometimes they just can't hear, and even some of them, maybe have a little bit of hearing. And pretty much to have patience, hire deaf people because they are great workers, and support Black businesses, support Black deaf businesses, and education is power.
Hey, most definitely, most definitely. That's one of the truest things that have been said tonight or of all time. Education is indeed power. Um,
Yes.
I do want to thank you once again for talking with us tonight.
Same but so real. Yeah, give me change that you can feel. Yeah, a dream we can't believe. Yeah, welcome to Knowville. Yeah.